Today on Sky Rascals, join us as we fly to a 5,500-year-old tomb and explore the Devil's Hill.
Ben, Tom and I took off on what seemed to be the coldest day of the year so far. Our aim was to land at West Kennet, Longbarrow, a prehistoric tomb situated in the southwest of England. The area was scattered with stones typical of the Neolithic history in the surrounding area. After sorting out our equipment, we decided to explore.
Seriously, Tom? Mate, look at the size of that one stone. What did you say these stones were, Ben?
They're called Sarsen stones.
Where would they have got this from?
I think the local area. They're supposed to be local to like Marlborough Down, but that's the same material that Stonehenge stones are made of.
They must have dragged all this stuff up here, right?
Look at the size of it.
It's like a huge windbreak for the door.
Well, yeah. Do you reckon that was it? Do you reckon it's for weather, to stop the weather whipping in there?
How did they put this here? Look at the size of that.
I mean, you're a handyman, mate. What do you reckon that stone weighs? just eyeballing it.
That's got to be 2-3 tons minimum, isn't it?
I reckon more, mate.
That's like, yeah, like 3 to 5
6,
tons.
yeah.
How long did you say this has been here for?
5,500 years.
So that's 2,000 years older than Tutankhamun, yeah?
Yeah.
And that's been sat there with all that weight since then.
3,500 BC, mate. Let's have a look.
Look at all these, mate. Do you think these were individual burial chambers, or how many people would you say was in here?
So they found 46 remains of 46 people in here, but there's only a couple of complete skeletons.
Just in this one room, or?
I think there are a few chambers there that were spread out.
So they must have been stacking bodies up in there then, yeah?
Yeah.
Look at the size of this. Like the bits
Apparently
they
some
cover
of the some of the skeletons were rearranged. I reckon it might have been for like rituals and stuff like that. Look at this up here. That's crazy. See where the stone's been eaten away over time.
Yeah.
Whoa, look at the colour there. It's all gone green from like, I don't know, maybe copper?
Yeah, it could be.
What's here? Is that another room?
Like another
Yeah, it's like the
chamber.
It's the same layout.
This one's way smaller though.
Look at that.
Prefer the term cosy, mate.
Oh no, there better not be huge spiders in here.
Something's been hunting. What's that down there? So look, there's, I mean, that stonework down there is clearly not original, is it?
That's obviously
Oh, that's-
supporting
yeah.
stonework, isn't it?
So
Yeah,
that-
that looks like that slipped, possibly.
So do you reckon they've
Then
had
they tried
surveyors
to,
in it?
like-
Yeah, look, this is a concrete roof they put in as well.
Yeah, they wouldn't let members of the public in, would they?
What year did this get excavated?
It was first excavated in the 1800s, mate. They cleared this central passage. I think it was the 1800s. And then about 100 years later, they discovered these rooms off the side. So initially this was just a tunnel in. That's got a cool little window on it.
So they blocked these chambers up.
So the tomb was actually opened for about 1,000 years or so.
Like where they've tried to block it up and probably opened it up and they excavated it.
Mm. So yeah, no, the tomb was all blocked up, backfilled, about 1,000 years after they built it. So it was open for a long time. I'm assuming these rooms weren't, but
cool in there.
Yeah, look at the candles. It smells of incense.
Hey, that's those weirdos who were there this morning, isn't it?
Yes, I should explain.
Yeah.
I should explain for the guys watching that it took us a couple of hours to get in here because when we first turned up this morning, there were 3 people sleeping in here. They'd just come up here with like a little camp stove and 3 sleeping bags.
Yeah, hey, what do you think they were? What do you think they were doing in here?
Right.
Tom, what do you think they were doing in here? They left the rose. You didn't notice any of them take away a lamb's head and clear up a pentagram, did you? Right?
I did see him sort of scuffing something away with a foot. I'm gonna like this incense.
Shiny torch over here, mate. Just want to see there. So again, more of that stone's been put in to help support it.
So do you think when they excavated it, these were just gaps of looseness?
I think so.
Or maybe chalk stone that's...
Well, they might have dug away too many rocks, thinking it was an entrance, and then...
I wonder if they're doing
That's a block
rituals in
there,
it
huh?
with the incense.
It smells so good. Look at me, so spiritual.
Oh, I bless this place as Sky Rascals.
This is super cool.
Yeah, it is, mate.
They don't really know who the community were or why they built this or why they built the hill. This is prehistoric, this is pre-history, pre-records. They just can date it to about 3500 BC.
For the size of it, that's a lot of bodies in a small area. I know it looks like it's big.
Yeah, how many did you say?
46, remains of 46.
I mean, you think there's 3 of us in here?
Apparently they think it was a local community, and it was a mixture of people, men, women, children. But the outside
I can
of
imagine
this,
people lived in it though, because
it's warm.
so warm.
It's lovely, yeah.
Yeah, not with the bodies down
Considering
there.
it's like 0 degrees outside, it's actually nice now, isn't it? It's
Not with the
pleasant.
bodies, I think it would smell a bit, mate.
It's extra warmth, isn't that?
Should we go and check out Devil's Hill, mate?
So both this and Devil's Hill are made of chalk. So originally when these were built, they would have been white, and they would have really stood out in the landscape. But obviously over time, it's just like gathered moss and grass and things like that. So
Let's go and walk over to the hill.
yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go look. I'll tell you boys a story about the hill actually on the way.
Right, let's get a hot chocolate, mate. Let's hear a nice story.
Alright.
Because I'm actually freezing cold.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, let's do that. Sounds like a plan.
Just a short distance from the tomb lies Silbury Hill, the largest man-made mound in Europe. Despite being hidden by the landscape, the hill has a mysterious and alluring presence.
That's more than decades worth of work, that, isn't it?
It was built over a few generations. They started with a small chalk and gravel mound, and then slowly built it up.
Do you think that was... I reckon that was pointy at the top on the stake.
Yeah, it was. They had a well, they flattened it off, I think, for some kind of... don't know whether they had something up there, but there was a collapse at the summit from one of the tunnels they dug.
Do you think they were trying to... I don't know, like... It's similar to a pyramid, isn't it? Obviously it's not, you know, it doesn't have 4 sides.
It's
but
not, I was going to say it's round, isn't it? But then that could be erosion over the last few hundred years,
think they-
making it round.
Yeah, actually, that could be a good point.
Could have taken off the edges.
The problem is, that thing's so old that I don't even think the historians fully know.
It's prehistory, mate.
It is.
Yeah, they don't know what the purpose of it was.
So perhaps being in a valley, rolling countryside with lots of wind in all directions all the time, maybe that could have corroded the pyramid shape and rounded it off.
Yeah, because you think the winds, yeah.
I'll tell you what the obvious thing is. You think what that would have been? That would have been white, because it was made of chalk.
Well, that was the same.
That's a
as the
signpost,
pyramid.
mate. That's to tell you there's a settlement. You think how sparse England would have been back there? My money, that's how you knew you were getting to your your location, where you were going.
Yeah.
There's Avebury, there's all this like settlement stuff here. Maybe that was something you could see from miles away. And
Do you
you
think
know
it's-
which direction you were going?
Do you think it's the same with the horses?
Maybe. Some of them aren't that old though, are they?
The Uffington White Horse is like 4,000 years old. That's
Yeah.
still pretty old, right?
No boys. This hill, obviously it's the largest mound in Europe. because it predates history, they don't really know how it was built. They know roughly what it's made of, so they've dug tunnels in it. But there's a bit of a story that goes with it. What they say is that the devil, for whatever reason, he had it out for Marlborough, didn't like the people, maybe didn't like the accent. And so he was carrying a huge shovel full of earth to go and dump on the town. And kind of got a bit lost on the way, and he stopped off in Avebury just across there, so the stone circles. And he asked this cobbler, and he said, the cobbler goes, oh, where's, I'm looking for Marlborough, how do I get to Marlborough? And this cobbler had his wits about him, he recognised the devil, he looked a bit like you. And he said to him, oh, it's a really long way, I'm fixing these shoes because I've worn out all of my pairs of shoes trying to get there. And hearing that, the devil basically was like, oh, sod that, it's a long way, I give up. And so he dumped the shovel full of earth on the ground, and it's been there ever since.
How big was this devil, man? How big was his shovel?
Well, this is it, right? You think they play this cobbler as a really smart bloke, right? They noticed this guy's like, yeah, you're the devil. If you noticed a guy holding a shovel full of earth like that,
You can do some digging for me.
but the size of that's actually as big as not the Great Pyramids of Egypt, but like a normal pyramid in Egypt. That's the same size as them. It's the largest man-made, well, devil-made mound in Europe. Once upon a time, that would have been made of chalk, so that would have been bright white on the landscape. People would have been able to see it, so you'd have been up on a distant hill, and you'd have seen that and known that he was where you needed to travel to.
Like we said on the way down, I think that was a pyramid at one point, and I think because of how it is in the valley, it's just weathered, rounded.
Yeah. They thought it was a burial mound, so they actually dug into it. They created 3 tunnels over a couple of 100 years. At various angles, so one went in through the top, one went in through the side, and I don't know where the other one came from, but 3 tunnels inside there looking for like chambers in there where they might have buried people. Didn't find anything, but found like perfectly preserved insects, moths, I think bits of pottery, stuff like that from back then. But they were quite lazy with it, so they didn't backfill the tunnels. So in 2000 there was loads of really heavy rain, and it actually caused one of the shafts inside it to collapse, and it flattened out the top a bit. But they've gone in since and filled up the tunnels, but you think they'd have done that, wouldn't you?
That's pretty cool, man. I think we're losing a bit of light here, aren't we?
Yeah, should we head back in a minute? Yeah.
We'll be flying in the dark.
Hot chocolate though.
We're missing every flight now.
Yeah.
It was a great experience to fly over these incredible World Heritage sites. Both sites are protected and maintained by the National Trust and English Heritage, organisations dedicated to ensuring British history is protected for generations to come. All 3 rascals have a passion for British history, and as members of the Trust we love travelling around the UK to their properties. If you want to see their locations yourself and feel like supporting the Trust, check out the link we've provided below. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.